Gary. I'm going to talk to John Hutton, High Road, Port Logan. Hello, John.
Hello.
I understand you were born in the village of Port Logan.
Yes.
And you've lived in this village more or less all your days.
More or less.
You went to school in Port Logan?
Yes.
How old would you be when you left?
14.
And what was the first thing you remember doing after leaving school?
Going to the fishing first.
Yes.
And what with my father was amazing.
Uh-huh. The fishing, tell me, just you and your father?
Just me and my father, aye.
And what did you fish for?
Lobsters and crabs, mostly.
Was this a seasonal occupation then?
Yes.
How many months of the year?
Usually start.
When would you...
6 or 7.
You would start in...
March or April.
And stop when the weather got...
Stopped in August.
August?
Then we did.
And where did you sell your... whatever you caught?
We sold them to Billingsgate in London
How did it get there?
by train.
So you just had to take it to Stranraer?
Just
In boxes?
in boxes.
And this was just lobsters? Crabs?
Just lobsters.
Just lobsters. So that obviously it was a good trade in the south of England, but not locally.
No here, no.
You never sold to any of the hotels like you do now.
No.
And could you have any idea how much you would get for a lobster in those days?
But half a crown to something about half a crown to 3 shilling a pound or something like that.
And how does that compare with today?
Oh, they're on what?
Start over 6 pounds.
6 down to about 3 or something today.
Depending on the season?
Yeah.
Now tell me, when you went out fishing with your father, you wouldn't have an engine in your boat in those days?
Not to begin with, no.
So you had to row?
Pull it with oar.
Where did you go out from?
From Port Logan.
From the quay?
Yeah.
And were there other people in the village doing the same sort of activity?
Well, there was some of the time Jim Blackwell, and that was really about all at that time.
So you didn't
And
have
there was a lot of folk before that,
Uh-huh.
like Uncle Billy and the
Galloway family.
Galloway's and she's better stop it.
No, don't worry.
I forgot the names.
No. What I was going to ask you then, fishing has been in your family for more than 1 or 2 generations?
As far as I remember, no, maybe no.
Your grandfather did?
I don't know what again. Don't think so, no.
So there wasn't a great deal of competition then for the lobsters?
No,
at that
no, while
time?
we were at them, no.
Was there any other kind of fish you went for at a different time of year?
Just pollock, catching pollock and limes, just that was all. Oh, and the herring, yes, of course, the herring.
That's still a popular short term.
Herring, yeah.
Hmm.
The jigging,
What do you mean by jigging?
jigging with 16 hooks and 4 16 hooks on a line we fished with.
So
We jigged with them.
you held that?
No, I jigged them up and down.
Jig up and down. And what did you use for bait?
Oh, just a bare hook. A clear hook, just.
Obviously worked.
Oh,
So you would get 16 at a time?
sometimes, sometimes.
And that would be a very short season?
About 2 months.
And what did you do with the herring? Did you sell it locally? More so?
Cadged it all around the country,
Just selling it to people who you knew would...
Oh, we just put them in the back of the car and round Ramore and
Oh, just
the whole place.
sort of hawked it about.
Yeah.
So how much would people give you?
I think it was. Was it? What else was it?
3 threepence a
Threepence each.
is it?
I can't remember what we got for them then.
That could be right. Threepence each.
Threepence each.
So you said also that you worked with your father at the building. Could you tell me a bit about what sort of work you did and where you did it?
Oh, putting on bio roofs, putting bio floors in, ventilators for the cows, mostly like that, and sorting windows and doors.
Just you and your father?
Well, no, with Jimmy McClure, the joiner, used to be at Logan Mill, and Hardy McLaughlin used to work with him.
Can you tell me some of the places where you would have done work on the
Cowan,
banks?
High Corrigtree, High Clonyard, Grinnan, Kilbride, Myrick. That's a bit harder.
Many of these buyers are still in operation.
Oh, they're
I
still
think.
working yet, yeah.
That's good. And then you didn't take to the building on your own then?
No, no.
You decided?
Well, I decided I would. Well, I would rather drive a tractor anyway, even at that time, so I went and asked Mr. Torrance for a job at Clumfer. Got it and stayed with him for 36 years.
And what kind of work would you do then? Mostly tractor work?
No, when I went to begin with, but mostly tractor work after that. Ploughing and pulling a binder and etc.
What kind of crops
Farming, yeah.
were they specialised in Columba in those days?
Oh, potatoes and mostly corn then it was. And I done the maize and barley. That was a bit that. Oh, and then we started the silage, of course. The silage, towers and silage.
Oh, I remember the towers. Can you remember when they were built? Still there, aren't they? Columba ones are still there.
1960 something, wasn't it? And they built that big shed, you know, was what for? So that's 1965, and they built a big shed. Times after that.
Must have been. I just remember.
Anyway, the next thing was you were made redundant.
I was made redundant.
56 years working for Columba.
Yeah.
But you'd already carried on with the fishing, hadn't you?
I took up the fishing
spare
full time.
But then you went full time.
Yeah.
That was in conjunction with your wife Peggy.
Yes.
And what did you find the most profitable?
Her on the dress crabs, I think. Doing the dress crabs.
Why crabs and not lobsters so much now?
Because there was more of the crabs at that time. Well, now even. Well, there is a lobsters.
Why do you think that is?
Well, because we never used to catch the crabs. Well, we never kept them like.
You never tried
Just
to?
the lobsters. No, because we didn't know anything about dressing them.
No, it was a friend that we met from Worksop, came on holiday. Oh, he's been gone for years to.
And asked her why she never didn't dress crabs.
He says, I could never find anybody that did dress crabs. He says, why don't you have a go? So the next year, at the start of the season, I thought, oh well, we'll have a go. And I did a dozen. I don't even remember who I sold them to, but that was the start of it. And the fish shop got to hear of it, and Logan got it, and various other folks. And now we've got quite a nice wee business going. Mostly English visitors actually. They love them. And some of them, I can't remember what their name is, they're from Warwickshire, and they bought 20, I think it was, this year. And I says, do you enjoy? Because they've been coming for years as well. Oh, he says, the only reason we come now is for the dress crabs.
Well, that's a good recommendation. So, I mean, obviously there's nobody else in this area does dressed crabs.
Well,
I think Tony Patterson was doing a few.
I think he did, yes, but I don't think they were.
Where's he?
Stonica.
No, from Sunhead.
Okay.
Oh no, from Stonica. What am I talking?
Yeah,
You're right
Stonica.
enough.
Maybe it's become more fashionable to eat crab.
Maybe. I don't know. But it's hard work, mind you, sitting there for hours on end.
It's tedious.
It's a long, yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not hard really, it's a long, I mean, it's,
A long day.
yeah, finicky job.
Would you like to describe from the moment you go out to sea to catch a crab, what do? You use a creel
Yeah.
We use creels, yeah. Top entrance, side entrance creels.
made
Yeah.
of,
Well, some of them's made of steel covered with plastic, and some of them's made with wood and plastic bulls.
and do you put bait in them,
put bait in them?
which is
Fish cuttings.
Fish cuttings, white and haddock, lides and pollock,
cut up?
cut up.
And how, when you take your creel out, how do you hold it in position in the sea?
Oh, there's cement in it to keep it down. A rope on it and a buoy on it.
And that's how you know where to go back to.
That's where we know to get them.
And where do you place them in this immediate?
Oh, just right round the rocks, 50 or 60 yards out maybe, sometimes closer.
And how long do you leave them before going back to see them?
Oh, mostly every day or every second day we go and look at them.
And going back every second day, is there usually something in it?
Some of them and some of them there's not, you know.
Yeah, and when you get a crab that you think's big enough, you give it to me enough, and well, if I think it's slightly small, we've got a measure, and we measure across the back, and if it's less than 5 inches, we discard it, we put it back in again.
Ah.
And if it's the size, you know how they've got strong claws, and if you don't cut is it the membrane, what do you call it?
Expect so.
You know, they just smash each other up when you put them in the keep creel. So I've got a sharp knife, a sharp point on it, and I jab it in, and that cuts the...
The tendon?
Yeah, the
Really
tendon, that's right, the tendon. And that stops them opening, well, it stops them crushing, you know, their claws, and stops them smashing. You know, the big ones can really smash the smaller ones off.
When you say keep creel, where is that in the sea?
Or just there behind the key.
Ah.
And then when I've got a few orders, bring some in.
Usually bring them what's served there.
Yeah,
Coffee
and
to boil in the boiler.
I get up early in the morning, put them in tepid water for about 20 minutes.
That's
Have the
obviously
water boil.
fresh, not
Yeah,
not
fresh
seawater.
Fresh water, tepid water, and put water in a large gas boiler. Bring it to the boil and dump the poorly things in, and bring it to the boil and boil them for half an hour. And after that, bring them in the house and start.
You have to let them cool to a degree though before you put them.
Well, not really. Well, by the time I've taken them out, cleaned the boiler, and they're usually cool enough to handle.
You've obviously got a separate shed for this.
Oh yes,
Boiling
yeah.
process.
I've got an electric boiler and a gas boiler, because if I'm doing maybe 40 odd crabs, I need 2 boilers to boil them in.
So if you boil 40 odd crabs in one day, you have to dress them now.
Oh yes,
So-
oh yes.
So how long
uh-huh.
would that take you?
Well, I get up about 20 to 5, and usually I'm finished about back at 3 o'clock. And then deliver them, and fresh in the same day.
That's quite a task.
So, yes. But, mind mind you, when I haven't got anything to do in the winter time, I miss it.
Could you describe, I've seen you dress a crab, but would you care to describe it for the tape?
Well, yeah, well, where do I start? I've got a board put on my table to save having to bash the table, and I've got a small hammer. I get a crab, and the first thing I do is pull off the small, 4 small legs each side, take off the big claws, and start breaking up.
Pull the inside out of the crab.
Yeah, no, but I break the big claws up first, take the meat out of them, and I put the white meat in one bowl and the brown in another bowl, keep the meats separate because I don't like to mix them. And
where does the white meat come from and where does the brown
the white meat comes from the big claws, and you get some nice white meat in the leg sockets, and the brown meat is in the bottom. And then after, well, as I'm doing them, as each shell's finished, I put them into water, and John, if he's got time, he scrubs them clean for me, and then I dry the shells, rub some sunflower oil inside. That's a Delia Delia Smith's recipe. I never knew how to dress a crab in my life. I had to look up recipe books, and I found how to do it in Delia Smith's book, and she recommends rubbing the inside of the shell with sunflower oil. Don't know what that does. And then I put white meat either side and the brown in the middle.
Do you add anything to the crab meat at all?
Oh yes, ground black pepper and lemon juice. That's all. I don't put breadcrumbs. I don't like breadcrumbs. A lot of people do put breadcrumbs.
You're not getting the full meat content, are you?
No. But I suppose it would make it go further, but I don't really think that. I like the nice fresh meat.
And you then cover
Yeah,
the shell?
couple them in cling film. And that's it.
Sounds so easy.
Sounds easy.
But I'm sure it's quite an art. And then you have several local sources to distribute
Yes.
to.
Fish shop in Stranraer, Logan Gardens, the inn,
Then
the lodge. Well, whoever
Some
else.
local.
Quite a few locals.
local people.
Lots of holiday makers. We've met so many nice friends, haven't we, since we started
Yeah.
up on our own. And most of them are English. Very nice people. And we actually go and visit 2 or 3 of them when we go on holiday.
So when you're not actually catching crabs or lobsters, say at this time of year, do you have a lot of maintenance to do on your creels?
Oh, I had to go through them.
You bring them all in?
Sort them, yeah. Sort them all up and look them all over.
What happens to them while they're at sea?
Oh, the meshes gets damaged, the bottoms gets damaged, the tops gets damaged. You know, they get a bit of pounding in there.
Is that just the weather and the rocks?
Yeah.
You're not troubled, say, for example, with seals as salmon fishermen are?
No, seals doesn't. Big eels maybe, but we get big eels in the creels, but
Huh?
they didn't do much harm, right? now.
Actually, sometimes when we go around the creels and I say, well, now there should be a creel here, and you'll look right close away in the rocks.
The
Quite
big
often
eels pulls
there's
them
been
away.
an eel in it, and the tail gets through the mesh, and a seal catch it and it drags it right away in. Don't know how many times we've had to go in among the rocks to get a creel, an eel, and always there's a big eel in it. Just part of the eel left because the seal's eating the rest of it.
Eat it all with
They
the
do,
head.
huh?
You'll just use it for baiting then, will you?
Well,
No, we don't use eels for
you
bait.
don't like eels for bait, do
They
you?
don't make good bait, no.
I mean, they're supposed to be edible, but
Oh, yeah.
Oh, they're lovely white flesh.
Oh, it is really white. Margaret Blackwell used to cook it a lot,
Oh,
didn't
that's
she?
good, I think.
She cooked it in milk. But I've never tried it. Have you?
never fancied it.
And we get a lot of dogfish in them and starfish.
So, do you put these things back? Do you
Oh,
just
yes.
let them go again?
Mhm. And urchins and velvet crabs, they're small. Spaniards love them. But we tried keeping them, but they don't keep very well, do they? They seem to die.
There was a lot of them.
And they would be much smaller and
Oh, they're
fiddly
small.
to work with.
And we get an odd octopus in them, don't we?
And a few crayfish.
A few, you're right. 4 last year. 4 crayfish the whole year.
Are they unpleasant in some way?
No, they're nice. They're like orange, big orange lobsters. Only they don't have the big claws. They've just got wee legs. They've got lots of small legs. And the bigger ones are sort of hooked.
Do people eat crayfish?
Oh yes.
So you can sell them?
They're a delicacy. Chinese love them, don't they? But an awful lot of divers come now, you know. The Aqua Club from Stranraer and divers from the North East England. And they get the they dive down, they can just catch them, they're quite easy to catch. Apparently.
They don't interfere with your creels?
Oh,
they
no.
They don't put off
They don't
the...
bother. No. I think a lot of the fishermen in the North East have a lot of bother with them, haven't they? But no, we don't have any bother.
There's no natural predators then for the crabs?
No, really, I don't think.
When you compare it with salmon and the seals?
No.
The octopus, they eat the lobsters, don't they?
Oh well, they would kill the lobsters,
Because quite a few. I know at time we've had an octopus and the creels and a lobster. You know, they just seem to suck the meat right out of the shell.
So what do you do with the octopus?
Well, John keeps it in the boat and it changes colour, doesn't it? It's brown one minute and
They get white.
white and.
Can they live out of water?
Throw them out some other place. Oh
Aye,
no,
but
they die.
no.
eventually,
We usually keep it in the boat until we're finished and then we go out, take it out
We
into the water.
somewhere
and dump them.
where there's no bother us.
Uh-huh.
But I mean, for years and years you never kept crabs, did you?
No, because any time to be bothered with them. There wasn't much money in them then anyway.
As I say, I think it is a change in people's eating habits.
Yeah, I think
That
so.
crab is far more acceptable than ever used to be. Can we just go back a little while, John, to maybe your school days? What can you remember at your days at Port Logan School?
Coal boat coming in with the coal for the farms round about. Horses and carts down. And
Came into the quay at Port Logan?
as soon as the tide was out, the carts was down to get the coals up before the tide come back in
You
again.
just tipped it out on the...
I just tipped it out into the carts and up down to the weighbridge down there for to get wafted and away to the farms.
Did somebody have the job of weighing it then, or did you each weigh your own?
No, there was somebody in there, I don't remember who, mind you, but there was somebody in there wafting all the loads.
That would be somebody's full-time job.
Oh yeah.
What else would come into Port Logan Quay, do you know, in those days?
Nothing else that I remember.
Nothing else.
No,
Just coal.
just, that's the only thing I've mind.
And there would be other places locally that coal would be delivered at the quays.
Oh,
At Tirali?
oh, at Trolley, yes,
Coal store.
and at the coal store and Long Rig. They bring the coals into Long Rig as well in the boat.
Was there a quay there? There's
No,
Not
they just bring it up onto the beach. Oh, they couldn't bring it into the quay there, they just come up onto the sand as far as it would go and that was it.
Left high and dry when the tide
Left high and dry to the... Oh, it would take 2 or 3 tides before they had the boat emptied, you know.
So you had a hand in this?
Aye, with a barra taking we went down and if there wasn't a cart in, they would have coped a bucket of coals out and we would have brung it up home in the barras.
Quite steep, pushing a barrow up to the high road.
I know. And that's about it, I think.
Do you remember the lifeboat at all?
I don't really think I do.
No.
Can I remember much the lifeboat?
You don't remember the station in operation?
No.
But members of your family were involved at
No,
one
it
time.
was my father and my grandfather was on the lifeboat, but not me.
And it was oars.
No, they had to oar it, well, they had sails as well as oars.
And they used to drag it around
Aye.
over
Aye, they
the
used to-
Myrick, I
Used to
understand.
take it round and launch it at New England Bay, fill it with the horses, mostly for Clumper horses, I think it was.
Would they be big Clydesdales?
Oh
or-
yeah.
Do you remember any tragedies at sea during your association with the sea here?
No really, apart from Tony Patterson sinking his boat up there on the far side of the Clanyard Bay one day we were going up, and
Is this fairly recently, isn't it?
fairly recently.
Tell us what happened.
Well, it was kind of rough, and we were going up this side of Garrett Hughes, and we could see the boat over on the other side, up the Gowney Hughes, and the next time we didn't. The next time we looked, we didn't see it. And then when we got up along here, the two of them up on the top of the rocks, scrambled up onto the rocks, the boat was sunk. So we had to go, there was some divers out up at the end, and we had to go and get the divers to come and rescue them.
Have they been fishing or just
No, they
pleasure cruising?
But
No,
the
fishing.
divers,
No.
oh
people-
aye, he was fishing creels. Yeah.
Yeah, but Nan Curry's father that was drowned, wasn't
No, there was quite a few folk drowned here, right enough, yeah.
In the bay?
Some of the Galloways and Nan Curry's grandpa was drowned, I think, bringing a boat round to Girvan or somewhere.
he? Many of the Galloways drowned. So two of them.
It could have been, I'm not sure.
Just in the bay here? I mean, it seems so.
I think just up round Clanyard Bay somewhere, there was some of them drowned out of a boat. Don't remember who. I think that's all I remember, right?
How many pupils were at Port Logan School in your day? I remember that.
I don't remember.
No, I don't remember. Or how many teachers?
should. There was two teachers.
Two
Always
teachers.
two teachers, aye.
From the age of 5 to 14.
Yeah, yes.
Everybody left 14.
14. Some of them are so bright they went on to Son Head. That was one of the dull ones, I think.
And some of your school friends still around?
Oh, quite a lot of them, quite a lot of them dead as well.
Who is there that's still here?
Jim Ritchie and Nan Curry, my sister, my brother. There's not so very many of them, mind, when you think on it.
Some of them maybe just moved away to
Oh, aye,
work in
some
different
of
parts.
them moved away right now. Just around now.
Do you foresee any changes in the fishing industry that are going to affect you? You know, we hear so much now about the EEC and so on. Is that going to have any effect on you as a fisherman?
Well, I hope no, but you never know. I hope no.
You have a permit to fish these waters.
Oh, well, we've got a permit
and
to
who
fish.
issues that permit?
Department of is it? Agriculture and Fisheries.
Agricultural and Fisheries, I think.
Yeah, Swansea. It's Swansea now. It was the fishery office in Ayr.
Used to be here, but it's
Yeah.
changed now.
Now it's all on computer. Central and
You have to renew it every
is it
year.
No, it's maybe Cardiff. Is it? No, they send. You know, when it's time to, you have to re-register every 5 years now, isn't it? It used to be every year you sent your
Every year we've got
you sent the
big
certificate
stamp,
back
but,
and they put a stamp on it. That was in Ayr, but now it's all changed and it's all in it's Cardiff, I think, isn't it?
It is.
And it's a lot dearer now. Never used to cost anything, but now it's over £100 to register a boat for fishing now.
So Ian said,
And you have more than one boat?
no, we've just got one boat.
I see it has a barren tray registration, am I right?
An ordinary fast liner with 40 horsepower Yamaha on it.
Oh.
Better tell them that, eh?
Technical.
Now, one thing I've always wanted to know, the number, yours is BA something.
161.
Right, 161. What significance does that have?
That's the Porter Register Ballantrae, as it's called.
And what does that mean, that your certificate is held there, your papers? Or?
No, it just means Porter Register. I don't think it means anything else, because Ian's is here and that's a different number altogether, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
You used to spend your evenings when you were a youngster?
Playing cards most nights with my granny and my aunties and my mother and father. Going here every night we played cards.
What games did you play? Did you play whist? Whist always seems to...
It was whist we played. Tinny we called it. Whist, it was whist.
Why did you call it tinny?
I don't know, because we had a tin in the centre with the money in it. and so much on each card. And whoever got out first got the tin in the middle with the money in it.
Oh.
So we called it tinny.
And was that mostly your entertainment? Did you have any
That
other?
was before we had electricity, and then after we got electricity, well, it was dancing after that.
Oh.
We were old enough. Down to the hall and
Port Logan Hall.
old time dancing with the laird as the instructor.
Was there a good turnout on these nights? How many people?
Oh, quite good.
Quite cool.
30 or 35, I'm not just sure how many come. 30 or 40.
And what form of music did you have?
Good question. I don't remember. Somebody must have played the
Accordion
piano or something.
Piano.
I don't remember accordion. I don't remember the music, but it was. That's funny.
You just remember the lasses.
No, I don't remember much of them,
And would the hall be in use more or less every night for something then?
Well, after
Dancing?
the lifeboat went away, I suppose, it started and what, the whirl and dances. Oh, we used to have a dance once a month or something like that. Or even often than
Must
that.
have been great times and concerts.
Concerts and parties after the harvest. We always had a cairn, as they called it. We had a cairn after the harvest in the hall.
What form would that take? A supper?
A supper.
Supper and then a dance?
Dances.
And a dance after that. Mostly Johnny Torrance at Glumper. Held the cairn.
Because most of the people would work for the Torrances, most of the time.
Yeah, aye.
People around about.
It was great nights, weren't they?
Oh, it was great,
Before that you had them in the hall, they used to have the cairn up in the granary at Calumphus, didn't they?
They had.
Where they used to store the grain, they would clear it out.
Aye.
Great times in there.
So the village would be involved too, wouldn't
Oh,
they?
yes.
James McComb with the fiddle, I get James in it.
Aye. William.
William McGuffock for Maldadji.
Lily.
Lily.
Plenty of local musicians.
Plenty of local musicians.
Did you play any instrument yourself?
Oh, I had to go on the mouth organ. Played at the dances.
Such noise.
You would like to give a recital?
I go and get my mouth organ, I'll give it a tune.
Dear God, I don't even know where it is.
And
Jesus, I can. You know that. What you get mixed up? Stop it. Oh, jinx. I'm making a
is an interesting house you live in, Peggy. Can you tell me a little bit about it? What do you know about it?
Well, we bought it almost 4 years ago, and I don't know actually when it was built, but the first tenant moved in 1787, exactly 200 years before we bought it, and his name was Mr. McNeely. So that's what it must be over 200 years old.
But obviously this is bigger than the original.
Oh yes,
house.
the extension at the back John and his father built. Was it during the war, John? Or after the war? After the war.
No, there would be.
And
So who owned the house prior to you buying it?
Mr. and Mrs. Peebles, they were from
yes.
Kent.
And then before that, would it be?
Hogs had it then.
Yeah, Harry Hogg had it, but before that Mrs. Henderson?
This is Mr. Henderson had it.
Before that Mrs. and Mrs. McClung, and when you were a wee boy it was a Mrs. Macmillan, wasn't it?
McCorder.
But you were just a wee boy then, weren't you?
4, maybe 5.
This must be one of the oldest houses in the village then, would you think?
Well, I would think so, because when the quay was built around about 1800, wasn't it?
I don't know.
Well, the story goes that the houses in the low street, they were all one story, and the laird of the time, McDowell was it? He actually wanted a lot of the tenants out, but they wouldn't move, so he built the battery along the front of them, and quite a few of the tenants built second stories.
Because they couldn't see out.
They couldn't see over the walls, so built another story up. So that must have been round about the same time, wasn't it?
Must have been.
And it's stone built, thick walls.
Well, you get some strong winds in from
You certainly
the
do.
sea.
You really get the
You get a lovely
really
view.
beautiful across the bay.
Beautiful view.
Then we built our son Ramon.
Oh, and another thing about the house, John, your grandparents or your great grandparents, either your great grandparents or your grandparents started off their married life in here. It's lovely to think now, isn't it?
Yeah. The Huttons have actually populated Port Logan
Yeah.
in various places for.
She know in Hufford.
I will.
Because I understand that the house that your son and daughter-in-law now live in was also lived in
Also
by.
by the
That
Huttons.
was well, not actually owned. She must have
Rent-
paid a
rented.
rent. Was your father's aunt?
Oh, and then Margaret bought it.
Margaret bought that.
Who would be the original landlord then, the estate?
Yes, that's right.
For all the property, wouldn't it, at one time?
Yeah.
Logan estate.
Yeah, and I expect all the houses were built for the estate workers, wouldn't they?
Nah, I suppose
Because
it
when
would be.
your uncle, when Craig and Annie got married, they got one of the estate houses, and I'm not sure which one it was that they lived in first.
Up here.
I think so. Well, they lived with your granny along the street first, didn't they? But they were all estate houses. And then, what year was it? The laird sold them off to the tenants. Your mother and father paid £60 for theirs, didn't they? What year would that be? That was in 1960 odd.
And which house is that? The one that Nell now lives in?
No,
Well,
that's
Leslie's in.
the one Leslie's in. Nellie's was £100
Because it was
because
a
it
bit
was
bigger.
it was a bit bigger. That's right.
How many bedrooms is that? 3?
And Nellie's now, well,
Nah, she would have 3, wouldn't she?
3, either 3 or 4.
Maybe 4. Then. Some of the houses, I think they're only £60, I think, aren't they?
Aye, well, that was all your dad paid for his, wasn't it? Can you imagine it?
Be nice. This interview was conducted by Janice Unwin for Kirkmaiden Information Centre in connection with the School of Scottish Studies Oral History Project. Oral History Project.